It was a calm evening in the small coastal village, where the golden sunset painted the sea with shimmering hues. Ayana, a spirited young woman with dreams as vast as the ocean, stood at the edge of the shore, her heart heavy with anticipation. She had always imagined her future filled with love, adventure, and freedom. But all of that came crashing down the moment her stepmother called her into their dimly lit home. "Ayana!" The stepmother's voice sliced through the air, cold and calculated. "You're to be married tomorrow." Ayana's world tilted. The name of her groom was whispered. A fisherman, a man she had never met. Panic gripped her chest. Her stepmother's motives were clear. This was no match made out of love or care. It was a transaction, a means to rid herself of Ayana once and for all. But the true shock came not from the abrupt announcement of the wedding. It was the fisherman's arrival that evening, a mysterious figure cloaked in shadows, his presence commanding an unsettling silence. Who was this man? And why did his eyes hold secrets that even the ocean couldn't conceal? Little did Ayana know, the tides of her fate were about to turn in ways she never imagined. The fisherman was no ordinary man, and his identity would send shockwaves through the village and beyond. The story begins in Kanani, a serene fishing village nestled along the West African coast. The village is alive with the symphony of waves crashing against the shore, the chatter of market women selling their wares, and the rhythmic beats of drums echoing in the evening air. The scent of salty sea breeze mingles with the aroma of roasted fish and spices wafting from the open market stalls. Ayana, the protagonist, is a bright and ambitious young woman of 19. She dreams of escaping her mundane life in Kanani and exploring the wider world beyond the horizon. Her late father, a fisherman known for his tales of adventure, had planted the seeds of wanderlust in her heart. However, his untimely death left Ayana at the mercy of her stepmother, Mamakala, a shrewd and domineering woman driven by greed and social ambition. Mamakala resents Ayana's youth and beauty, seeing her as nothing more than an obstacle to her own goals. She views Ayana as a burden, especially since her dowry could fetch a handsome sum. While outwardly respected in the village for her cunning ways, Mamakala is feared by many for her sharp tongue and manipulative schemes. The story also introduces Baba Joro, an old village storyteller who serves as Ayana's confidant. Known for weaving tales of wisdom and warning, Baba Joro senses an ominous shift in Ayana's fate when he learns of the upcoming marriage. His cryptic warnings about secrets hidden beneath the waves leave Ayana puzzled but uneasy. Then there's the mysterious fisherman, Malik, whose arrival disrupts the village's equilibrium. Malik is an enigma, rugged yet refined. His presence exudes an air of mystery. He rarely speaks, but when he does, his words carry an authority that silences even the most talkative villagers. He seems too polished to be a mere fisherman, raising questions about his past and intentions. The setting reflects both the beauty and hardship of life in Kanani. The villagers depend on the sea for their livelihoods, and its tides dictate their existence. The ocean is both a source of life and a symbol of the unknown, holding secrets that intertwine with Ayana's destiny. As Ayana prepares to meet her future husband, she can't shake the feeling that the marriage is more than just a stepmother's ploy. It's the beginning of something far more significant, something hidden just beneath the surface of her ordinary life. The wedding day arrived with an air of unease that clung to the village like a fog. Ayana's heart raced as she sat in her stepmother's home, her hands trembling as she adjusted the beaded necklace that once belonged to her late mother. The villagers gathered outside, whispering about the mysterious groom who had come with no family and no explanation, only a promise to take Ayana as his wife. Mamakala was unusually cheerful, her sly smile betraying her satisfaction. For her, this was a transaction well made, a chance to rid herself of Ayana and profit in the process. But Ayana couldn't shake the strange feeling that this wasn't just her stepmother's doing. The warnings from Baba Joro echoed in her mind. Beware the calm seas. They often hide the fiercest storms. As the ceremony began, Malik, the fisherman, stood tall and silent, his face unreadable. His hands were calloused like any man of the sea, yet there was a quiet strength in his demeanor that felt out of place. The villagers watched with suspicion and curiosity. Who was this man who seemed both familiar and foreign? After the vows were exchanged and the festivities began, Malik surprised everyone by taking Ayana aside, away from the crowd. His voice, low and steady, sent a chill down her spine. "I know you did not choose this, Ayana," he said, his eyes locking with hers. "But neither did I. We are both bound by forces greater than ourselves." His cryptic words left her reeling. What forces? Who was this man truly? Ayana's attempts to press him for answers were met with deflection, leaving her with more questions than ever. That night, as they prepared to leave the village for Malik's home by the sea, Baba Joro appeared at the edge of the crowd. He handed Ayana a small, intricately carved wooden talisman. "You'll need this," he murmured, his gaze piercing. "The ocean is vast, and it does not reveal its secrets easily." Their journey to Malik's secluded home was far from ordinary. The path was treacherous, with waves crashing against the cliffs and the wind howling like a warning. Along the way, Malik's silence grew heavier, his every glance revealing a deep, guarded pain. Ayana's fear turned into determination. She had to uncover the truth about the man she was now bound to, and why the ocean seemed to call to him, as if it knew his name. By the time they reached his home, an isolated cabin perched precariously over the roaring sea, Ayana realized her new life was going to be anything but ordinary. The cabin was filled with artifacts, ancient maps, peculiar tools, and items far too luxurious for a simple fisherman. Each object seemed to whisper stories of a life that contradicted everything Malik claimed to be. The pieces didn't fit, and Ayana's unease deepened. The secrets Malik kept were woven into the very fabric of the sea, and she was determined to unravel them, even if it meant venturing into the unknown. As Ayana settled uneasily into her new life with Malik, she began to notice peculiar things about him. He would disappear for hours, sometimes days, claiming he needed to fish, yet he never brought back any catch. His eyes, often distant, seemed to hold stories too heavy to share. The villagers whispered about strange occurrences at sea, ships vanishing and voices calling from the depths, and Ayana couldn't ignore the growing sense that Malik was tied to these mysteries. One stormy night, unable to contain her curiosity, Ayana followed Malik as he slipped out of the cabin. The rain lashed against her skin, and the wind roared in her ears, but she pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. She trailed him to a hidden cove, where the ocean shimmered unnaturally under the stormy sky. There, she saw him. Malik stood at the water's edge, his hands raised, as if in conversation with the waves. The sea seemed to respond, its surface glowing with an eerie light. Ayana's breath caught as she watched a massive, shadowy figure emerge from the depths, a creature that looked like it belonged to legend, not reality. It spoke in a voice that rumbled like thunder, addressing Malik with deference and calling him by a name she'd never heard before. Prince Kale. Ayana's heart raced. Prince? What prince? The creature's voice continued, revealing truths that left her reeling. Malik, or Kale, was no fisherman. He was the exiled prince of an underwater kingdom, forced to live among humans as punishment for defying his royal family. His time on land was part of a bargain, a penance for a crime Ayana couldn't yet comprehend. The creature's final words sent a chill through her. "Your time is running out, my prince. She will soon learn the cost of what you've done." Ayana stumbled backward, her mind racing. She had uncovered Malik's secret, but what did it mean for her? Why had he married her, and what role did she play in his mysterious punishment? When Malik turned and saw her, his face was stricken with guilt and fear. "You weren't supposed to know," he whispered, his voice breaking. Not yet. But it was too late. The truth had surfaced, and with it came more questions than answers. Ayana was no longer a pawn in this strange game. She was now a key player, and the stakes were higher than she could have ever imagined. The storm raged like never before, the waves crashing violently against the cliffs as the ocean seemed to rise up in fury. Ayana stood at the edge of the hidden cove, her heart pounding as the truth finally came to light. Malik, Prince Kale, stood before her, his normally calm demeanor shattered. The sea creature from before had returned, its massive form towering over them both, demanding Malik's decision. "You must choose, Kyle," the creature roared, its voice reverberating through the air. "Return to the depths and reclaim your throne, or stay on land and let the kingdom fall to ruin. But you cannot have both." Ayana's voice trembled as she stepped forward. "What does this have to do with me?" she demanded. "Why was I dragged into this?" Malik's eyes, filled with sorrow, met hers. "Because you are the key to everything," he said. "The prophecy spoke of a union between the land and the sea, a bond that could restore balance. I hoped marrying you would fulfill it, but I was wrong." The sea creature interrupted, its gaze fixed on Ayana. "The balance can only be restored through sacrifice, yours or his. The choice must be made now, or the seas will consume everything." Ayana's world spun. She was just a girl from a fishing village, yet here she stood, her life entwined with a prince's curse and an entire kingdom's fate. The weight of the decision bore down on her. The sea swirled around them, rising higher and higher, threatening to pull them under. Malik stepped forward, his voice steady despite the chaos. "I will go," he said. "I won't let her suffer for my mistakes." But Ayana grabbed his arm, her resolve hardening. "No," she said firmly. "If I've been brought into this, then I'm not running away. Tell me, what must I do?" The creature's eyes gleamed with an otherworldly light. "You must enter the ocean's heart," it said. "Prove your worth to the kingdom, but beware. The ocean tests the soul. Few survive its judgment." Malik tried to stop her, but Ayana was already stepping into the swirling waters. "I've faced storms before," she said, her voice unwavering. "I'll face this one too." The sea engulfed her, pulling her into its depths. As Malik shouted her name, Ayana was plunged into a world of darkness and light, where the ocean itself seemed alive, testing her strength, her courage, and her heart. This was her moment of truth. Her decision would not only determine her fate, but also the destiny of a prince, a kingdom, and the fragile balance between land and sea. As the ocean's trials came to an end, Ayana emerged from the depths, carried on the back of a glowing current that shimmered like sunlight breaking through the darkest storm. She had faced her fears, confronted the ocean's wrath, and proven her strength not just to the kingdom of the sea, but to herself. The villagers gasped as they saw her rise from the waves, her presence radiant and commanding. Behind her, Malik followed, his once mysterious aura now one of humility and gratitude. The sea creature that had once loomed over them with menace now bowed its massive head in respect. "You have succeeded where many have failed," the creature rumbled, its voice softer now. "The balance is restored. The land and sea are united once more." Ayana looked at Malik, her heart swelling with a mix of relief and bittersweet pride. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice steady despite the uncertainty that lingered. Malik stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. "I must return to the ocean to fulfill my duty as prince," he said. "But this time, it will be with honor, not exile. You've shown me what it means to fight for something greater than myself." The villagers, who had once whispered about Ayana and her strange marriage, now watched in awe. Baba Joro stepped forward, his wise eyes shining with pride. "You were always destined for greatness, child," he said. "Your courage has bridged two worlds." As the waves calmed and the sky cleared, Ayana turned to Malik one last time. "Will I ever see you again?" she asked, her voice tinged with hope and sorrow. Malik smiled, a bittersweet expression that held both promise and farewell. "The ocean always remembers," he said, "and so will I." With that, he walked into the waves, the sea embracing him as its rightful heir. Ayana stood on the shore, her heart heavy yet filled with a newfound strength. She was no longer the girl dreaming of escape. She was a woman who had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. In the days that followed, the village thrived as never before. The ocean, once tumultuous, became a source of abundance and peace. Ayana became a respected figure in Kanani, her story spreading far and wide as a tale of bravery, love, and sacrifice. But on quiet nights, as she stood by the shore, Ayana would feel the gentle pull of the waves, as if the ocean itself whispered to her, carrying Malik's memory and the promise of their unbroken bond. The story ends with Ayana gazing at the horizon, a faint smile on her lips. The world had changed, and so had she. But some part of her knew that her journey, like the endless tides, was far from over.